Joe Biden is in bad shape. He's lost it. And if you guys watched the Democratic debate last night, I think you would agree, because so does Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks. And I highlight him because he's a progressive. He really, really hates Trump. We are not very much politically aligned. I think we agree on some things, but, disagree on a lot. But I think we can all agree that Joe Biden has completely lost it. He was full of gaffes. He struggled to speak. And as Esquire puts it, Joe Biden's foot-in-mouth disease was working overtime at the Atlanta Democratic debate. Cory Booker hit him with a snappy line, but the former vice president did not handle things well. They're lying when they claim that Joe Biden is the front runner. They're lying when they claim that he's the one who can beat Trump. They're lying when they claim Trump is scared of Biden and needed to dig up dirt. This is an example of why impeachment is a sham. Let me do this. I'm so sick of the impeachment thing. So I don't even know if how much longer I'll be talking about it. But you think Donald Trump, the arrogant, narcissistic Donald Trump, who mocks journalists getting, body slammed, who says lock her up, who says whatever he wants, is worried about a guy who can't talk straight? Sorry, dude. I don't believe it. I don't. And the Democrats have not once, at least as far as I've seen, asked any of the witnesses so far in the impeachment hearing, did Trump ever express fear he would lose to Biden? Did Trump ever say he needed an edge to beat? They're not asking any of that, because it's fake. It is fake. It is fake. Trump is not worried about the Gaffe man. What Trump's going to be like, I think we should do this, and Biden's teeth are going to fall out. And I'm not trying to be mean, but it's happened. Check out this story. I got a bunch of stories. Actually, let's do this. Let's jump to the blaze. Joe Biden issued a colossal gaffe during the Democratic debate, and everyone in the audience burst out laughing. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm just going to do a shorter segment this morning because we're wrapping up the Democratic debates. It was mind-numbing. It was boring. I'll give a shout out to Cory Booker, who thankfully, at least one of the Democrats said, we can't just keep talking about taxing rich people. We need to talk about, helping people become entrepreneurs and creating that wealth. And I'm like, thank you. Okay, I'm not a big fan of Booker, but at least somebody said it. Joe Biden's colossal gaffe, leaving everyone laughing. The dude thinks it's 20 or 30 years ago. Check this out. Democratic candidate Joe Biden issued a colossal mistake during the Democratic debate Wednesday, and he was immediately ridiculed on social media and on the debate stage. The brutal misstep happened when Senator Cory Booker was challenging the former vice president on his support in the black community. He said, "I have more people supporting me in the black community that have announced for me because they know me, they know who I am," said Biden. 3 former chairs of the Black Caucus, the only African-American woman to ever be elected to the United States Senate, a whole range of people. But not only was Biden wrong about there only being one black female senator, but he was completely ignoring that Senator Kamala Harris, the second black female elected to the Senate, was standing on the debate stage next to him. The dude is not all there. His brain stopped 20 or 30 years ago. That's not true, laughed Booker. Nope, that's not true, laughed Harris. The other one is here. The audience burst out in laughter at Biden's brazen gaffe. He was also brutally mocked online by both left and right for the mistake. It wasn't just that. Biden is not the frontrunner. I get it. The polls are saying he is. But no one who's paying attention to politics thinks Biden stands a chance for anything. Well, I'm sorry, I take that back. It's possible. The average Democrat voter who says they would vote for him in the polls aren't paying attention, so they're just like, I guess I'll vote for Biden. But come on, man, if that's the best the Democrats have to offer, I'm sorry, you're not getting my support. And I'll say this too, man. The more impeachment drags on, the more angry I get with all Democrats, and that includes Tulsi. I am so, when she first announced she was not going to support impeachment, I was like, thank you. Let's talk about issues and figure out how to defeat the Republicans, right? Here's what we want to do. In the sportsman-like world of what politics should be is I'm going to defeat you. I disagree with your ideas. The game is afoot. Instead, what do we get? Screeching nonstop and the accusations that Trump is terrified of Biden. Oh, please, dude. Left and right think Biden has lost his mind. You think Trump's worried about it? Trump at a rally was like, I easily beat Hillary Clinton, who is basically the top person on the Democrat side. Not so much anymore, but was. And he was like, and they think I'm worried about Biden. He's like, I know what I do. I'll call you, Crane. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And even the Sondland testimony yesterday, which they're calling a bombshell, it's not. They're losing. So, and CNN, I'm just so sick of it, dude. We can see plain as day that Biden is not all there. And Biden cannot go up against Donald Trump. So I'll tell you what. Let's go through this. Let's go through this debate stage and talk about who can actually go up against Donald Trump. Because I'll tell you, it's probably none of them. I'll tell you the first. Let's start with Booker because I gave him a compliment. Booker acts too much like things aren't serious. He's laughing and he's too like, whoa. No, you got to be a little bit more serious. But I respect what he's trying to do. Tulsi Gabbard, who I think is a bit too stiff and not quick. She's pigeonholing herself into one issue. Regime change war, which for me is one of the biggest. Because I'll tell you this, here's what you need to say. Here's what you tell the American people. You want to stop these wars overseas? Here's my question for you, Elizabeth Warren. You have proposed a wealth tax on billionaires. You have called them lazy, freeloading billionaires. There are very few of them relative to the rest of the country, but I can respect the idea that some of these people may have used, exploitative means or avoid paying taxes, use loopholes. We have the Panama Papers. I can respect that you're concerned about this, but let me ask you, why is the first thing you're proposing the billionaires? I mean, you're rich. I'll tell you what we need to do. The first thing we need to do when we're going to budget for how we pay for healthcare, for solving the problems that we face in this country with homelessness, the first thing we do is take a look at how much money we waste blowing up kids in foreign countries. You can talk to Obama all about it. 2,500 extrajudicial assassinations. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. So you want to talk about a waste of money? You want to talk about taxing people? Full stop. How about we reassess how much money we're wasting on providing weapons to foreign countries and sending our soldiers overseas to change a regime because we want better prices on gas for our allies? How about we focus on what the American people need before we go and start proxy wars in foreign countries? You want to talk about finding funding for healthcare? Well, I got bad news. We're not actually spending that much on foreign war relative to how much you would need for healthcare. The first thing you need to do is stop wasting your money and focus on the infrastructure in this country. Oh, heavens! Is Donald Trump saying America first over and over again? You can't say that because that would put you in league with the evil nationalists. Ooh, you don't got to be an overt nationalist to say maybe we should prioritize our foreign expenditures a little bit back towards nation building in our own country. We can be internationalists, we can do all that stuff, but we still have to recognize, why are we building nations in Afghanistan when we can't even do it in Detroit? That is the best argument, in my opinion. So I think it would be great if Tulsi could get past just saying, we're wasting money on wars. Elaborate. You've got to talk more about healthcare. You've got to talk more about energy, and you've got to have more than just regime change war. Now, I'll admit, one of the big reasons I like Tulsi is because I think that is like the first step you have to do. We have to reassess where we're spending money. And one of the biggest sinkholes is blowing up kids in foreign countries. I know I'm being hyperbolic on purpose. It's not all about that. We do some great things overseas. There is a lot of money we spend in foreign aid projects that I understand. I understand why Trump wanted to give javelins to Ukraine. I get it. I'm just saying, I always say this to a lot of the far left people I know. Before you talk about taxing the rich, let's talk about reevaluating where our tax money is going. As I explain it, I believe in government programs and social programs, but we have to make sure we cull the fat and cut out the bloat. Now we got Pete Buttigieg, too generic. Like I think he's got what it takes to be president 40 years ago, but today you're going up against a man who's got quick wit. One of the funniest things Trump did during the debates with Hillary is that while she's talking, Trump's going, wrong. No, wrong. It was funny. Trump is an entertainer. He knows how to make you laugh, and he's inspired the confidence of a lot of people in this country. Not necessarily enough, but enough to win, right? I think, Obama had overwhelming support. So then you've got, who else do we have? Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang has done a tremendous job of being funny and having great ideas, but I think he's not strong enough to go up against Trump in terms of, actually, I think Andrew Yang has got the attitude to compete with Trump. But I do think that he just comes up short. You got to understand, Kamala Harris will get roasted by Trump, like hard. She is not fast enough, and she comes off as a stodgy, like desperate cool mom. No, not gonna happen. Elizabeth Warren, oh my, she's the worst. She will do the worst against Donald Trump. I don't think you have someone who can beat Donald Trump on the debate stage, and it's certainly not Joe Biden. Let's wrap it back up to the point I was making, because there was another gaffe. There's more. Check this out. Esquire calls it his foot and mouth disease. Here's a tweet. It says, Joe Biden says it's okay to hit a woman in self-defense, and then closes by saying we need to punch the culture that encourages punching women. And everyone starts laughing at him. Cory Booker insinuates that Joe Biden was high for saying that marijuana was a gateway drug. They say this: it does seem that Biden has supported decriminalizing marijuana for some time, but that's really taking a backseat at this point. Quote, I come out of that Obama coalition, he said. I come out of the black community in terms of my support. Oh, yeah. So that, yeah. Joe Biden was struggling to speak. It's not just about these gaffes. It's not just about him saying things that make no sense. It's about that in his first opening statement, he was falling asleep. I'm not exaggerating. The guy's on stage, his eyes are, glazing over, and support for the, what we're going to do is... That was an exaggeration, but it was really he really struggled to get an idea out. So what do we have? We just watched the Democratic debates, and I'll tell you one thing. I think I'm extremely excited for, I'm going to be completely honest with everybody. I don't think Booker will ever have what it takes to be the president. I'm sorry, Booker. I do kind of like the guy. I don't think he's all bad. I've seen some of these candid moments where somebody was filming on a cell phone of him talking to a constituent, and he was tough. They were demanding him make a point. He was like, no, stop. He's like, I understand what you're trying to do. I believe X, Y, and Z, and it was great. It was great. I was like, I can respect that. And it was crazy to me that in this candid moment that was just some random person filming at an event, he seemed more real than he's ever seemed. When he goes up on stage, it sounds like he's reading a script. And he's reading, and it sounds like he's trying not to sound like he's reading a script. It doesn't work. So, I look to the people on the stage. I think Pete Buttigieg will have a great career going forward, which will not be the president. I think he's very charismatic, and I think he's quick-witted, and he's a great speaker. But he's not what's going to win today. Things are very different. Elizabeth Warren is Hillary Clinton wearing a Bernie Sanders mask. That's the way it's been described to me, and I think it's funny. It's not that she I'm not saying she doesn't support Bernie at all. No, I'm saying she's an establishment crony who's saying the things that Bernie would say. And I'll tell you this, Bernie, I mean, it's time to retire for Bernie, Biden, and Warren, all of them. They've all passed the 70 mark, right? So Andrew Yang, I think, is exciting. I don't see him as ever being president. We'll see what happens. You never know. But there's a few, I would say that, outside of my frustrations over impeachment, Andrew Yang's basically the only one who isn't technically supporting it because he's not a politician, but they all do. And I'm completely frustrated, and I got to be honest, I'm getting angrier every day that this keeps going on. I'll tell you what. Here's what I tweeted. I did not vote for Trump. I laughed when he won because this is what they deserve. They deserve to lose. I'm not going to vote for Trump. I mean, look, I'm not saying I would never. I'm not somebody who votes for the lesser of two evils, but Trump can change. We'll see how he campaigns, but I'm not a fan of his style. I think there's a bit too off the cuff, kind of shoot aim. What is it? Ready, fire, aim, or whatever. I think Trump has made so many mistakes in terms of just doing things without planning them out. So I look, in the end, we can talk about a great economy. Trump can get credit for a lot of things, but for me, he's not my guy. And I'm not deranged by it. It's just simply, I'd rather vote for somebody else. So what do the Democrats have to offer me? What have they tried to do to convince me, a moderate individual, an independent voter? I've been called independent by every single news outlet. What have they done to convince me? Nothing. You know why? I'm not the lowest common denominator. So they don't care about me, and they don't care about principle. They don't care about talking about what actually needs to be done to make this country better. And you know what the problem is? Trump does talk about what he wants to do to make the country better. And he says things that often people don't like the left. When he says in his first campaign, I'm calling for a complete and total ban on Muslims entering the country, or whatever the quote was. He's talked in ways that have been offensive to people. And admittedly, I think the worst problem for him is the media knows they're milking it for all it's worth. So they definitely make Trump seem a lot worse than he really is. Like I say, I always defer to Flecka's Talks. Great channel, by the way. He's not that bad. You know what I mean? It's you can not like him, and that's fine. But come on, seriously, what they're insinuating in the press, the impeachment, is so insane. So here I find myself as someone who tries to be principled and consistent, and I try to admit when I'm wrong. If my opinion changes due to new information or something, I have conversations with people on the left. I try as hard as possible to frequently have people who are more left talk to me about their ideas. And I actually, I think I've done more left-wing conversations and debates than I've done with anybody on the right, because I really, really want to make sure that we can have that conversation. Instead, what ends up happening is the media is selling you garbage. The media is claiming that Trump is doing all of these evil things. They're out of context, clickbait, ragebait garbage. And so I turn to the Democrats and say, what can you propose to me that will make the country better? And they say, the orange man is bad. And I say, got it. Okay, I don't disagree. All right, now what do you have in mind for me? And they say, listen, what you got to understand about what we're doing in this country to fight for a better future is that the orange man is bad. And I go, you told me that the first time. You never provided any hard evidence. You just keep whacking me in the face, screeching orange man bad. So I'll tell you what, I get it. I'm not the lowest common denominator. Moderates, centrists, whether you're center left or center right, we are not the target demographic for these groups, because what they're trying to do is show up the biggest voter block possible to win. Well, that doesn't win me over. And all it does is make me angry. And so I will end by saying, I've been thinking about it. As I look to the future, I actually do have, I think there's a lot of, I have a lot of positive predictions about Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang. A lot of them I think will do really, really well, but I think Tulsi is going to shine a lot in 4 or 8 years. We'll see what happens. But I must admit, I will be the first to say it, as somebody who has supported Tulsi, I am increasingly angry over her support for impeachment. And I'll tell you exactly why. When it first came out, she said no. And I agree, okay? I believe in more progressive policies. I'm pro-choice, okay? I believe a progressive tax makes sense. I absolutely think we need to figure out how to solve these tax loopholes and hold the billionaires to task and all of that good stuff. But I think Warren and Bernie are pandering. They're finding scapegoats. No, I'll tell you about progressive taxes, about pro-choice because of principled decisions, and I'll explain to you why I feel the way I do and try to work with you on a compromise so we can live together. Warren and Bernie, in my opinion, are just saying whatever they think you need to hear. These lazy billionaires. Oh, come on, dude. Billionaires lazy, please. Okay, these people, CEOs work, 30-something% more than the average person. They work 80-hour weeks. I don't believe that they're lazy. I do believe that we need to solve for loopholes so that people don't start exploiting the system and selling snake oil. But I believe based on principle. And I see these people and they're pandering. In the end, they're offering me nothing. And it's just, so I'll finish that point. You want to impeach Trump. Okay, I don't see it. And I think the Democrats are just saying whatever they think they need to say to get those votes. At first, Tulsi said, nah, none of that. And I said, spot on, thank you. You don't have to like the guy, but you can literally say, this is not what we should be doing right now. And then she flipped. And then I was like, ugh, why are you doing this? She could have been, we can even talk about it in terms of political strategy, being the only Democrat on that stage saying no. And they would have turned her and say, you're opposing impeachment? Absolutely. Because you know what? We're a year out from an election. What Trump did is conjecture and opinion, and I get it. You can watch MSNBC and CNN and they'll tell you the world, but you got to understand it is destroying the fabric of our country. It is tearing everyone apart. We do not have an instance where there is a smoking gun that proves Trump did this, that, or that. And I understand you want an investigation, but the way I see it is, let's go for this election. Let's let the people know if you have issues with what Trump is being accused of, you can take it to the voter booth. Instead, what we have is a waste of time where the TV is inundated with nonstop talk about the president, and we need to solve problems. The president is a problem that can be solved by the American people when they vote. And if they don't think he rises to the level of removal and they vote for him, then so be it. But the job of politicians should be going and solving policy decisions, not complaining about the guy who beat them. Instead, she supported it. She did talk about the partisan nature and the divide, but you know what? There's very few people that I believe are standing on principle. And in the end, all I see now is that because Democrats overwhelmingly blindly support impeachment, that's what you're going to get, Tulsi included. So yeah, I'm incredibly frustrated by all of this. So you know what? Whatever, man. I don't know. Here's your Democrat debate wrap-up review show from me. Joe Biden's nuts. We know he's nuts. He's not the front runner. They're lying. Bernie's doing a substantially better job than he is. Warren is frustrating, and she is a duplicitous liar. I believe she is full of it. I believe Bernie is a bit more honest, but I also believe he's playing the pandering game, and that's why I don't like him anymore. Because he realized, instead of standing on principle and talking about these issues, like a few months ago when he said, we can't let all these poor people in, there's too many. Now he's like, I think we should put a moratorium on deportations and let 50,000 migrants in. It's like, okay, dude, that's literally the opposite of what you were talking about 4 months ago. I'm sick of it. You're all liars. I don't want to play this game anymore. I don't care. You deserve Donald Trump. You deserve the bull charging through the doors of the ivory tower, telling you to shut up and making fun of you and laughing. And that's why a lot of Americans voted for him. Because they said, you know what? I don't care. Let the bull have his way. Let him tear through that tower, say what he wants, tell you what he's going to do. And at least, we can have some emotional vindication that all of you duplicitous career politicians who care for nothing about the American people and pretend you do, will get your comeuppance. Now, I do think, to a degree, a lot of these politicians care, to an extent. Most of them, however, they just want the keys to the castle. Yeah, you want the keys? All right, congratulations. Hey, I had nothing to do with Donald Trump getting elected, okay? I wasn't doing commentary videos. I didn't vote for the guy. I'm not going to. But you know what? I certainly can understand and respect why they released the bull into your tower. Congratulations. The keys to the castle are yours. I hope you enjoy having the bull rampage through. And you know what? I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment's coming up in a few at 1 p.m. and I will see you all then.